Nate, I'm so excited you're here.
I'm so happy to be here.
Not only because I respect your work so much and because you've written a beautiful new book, but you're also a big reader. So we're going to talk about that too.
Well, we have, it's embarrassing because I don't pick books based on your book club, even though I follow you.
Yeah.
And then, I went back and looked at how many titles I really love. And it was like, read with Jenna, read with Jenna, read with Jenna, read with Jenna. And I was like, maybe Jenna and I should just share books. Because
I have one for you.
We have the same taste in book. What is it?
I have one for you. It's called Buckeye.
Okay.
Which you will love.
I'm ordering
and then you will
it
go
right
on
now.
to
If I
share
have my
it.
phone, I 100%.
You will go on to share it for sure.
All right. I mean, I love reading. You know what? Honestly, it's so interesting to me because my kids are readers too, which makes me so happy.
Yes.
And I see their vocabulary change and I see their comprehension change.
Yes.
But I have to read to shut out the decorating
part
noise.
of
you. Yeah, because I don't want to hear about that. I want to be in Tehran in 1960 before I go to bed.
Yes.
So
you know what? Also, one of the things, and I should just say this to you because I think people listening know about the power of reading to your kids because there's been so many studies on that.
Yep.
But the patron saint of writing, Ann Patchett, shared a study with me about modeling reading. That if you're modeling reading to your children, so just by you reading every night, you and Jeremiah reading,
or
you talking about books, or packing,
see it,
that is influencing who they are as a
Oscar,
reader.
who's 7, it's been so interesting because our kids are so media inundated and all of that.
Yes.
And so we watched Willy Wonka. And I said to Oscar, he loved the movie so much. He was showing me the Oompa Loompa dance and all this stuff. And he was so excited about the whole concept.
Yes.
And I said, Aki, the book is better. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And he was
Roald Dahl.
Wait, what? And so, who was such a weirdo, by the way.
Yeah.
Beyond. But the book is so insane.
Yes.
And I remember that book from being 7. And so we're reading it now. And, I read to him. I crawl up on the top bunk of his bunk bed and I lay down next to him and I read a page, he reads a page, but he retains every detail because he'll ask me about it the next day.
Probably one of the most sort of spiritual moments I've had in literature is reading Charlotte's Web to my daughter. To both daughters, Poppy and Mila. I haven't done it. Hal 6. And it's so sad that I'm it's slower too. So I want to wait till he can get it. But I actually, if you haven't read it to Oscar.
We read it. I've read it to Poppy.
Yeah.
On my Poppy.
Yes.
Not your Poppy.
I know. We have 2 puppies. Yeah. It's confusing.
But I do remember it igniting the conversation about death and loss. And then she turned to me and she said, did you ever know anyone that died? And have I ever known anyone that died? And do you think that was a story about love, or what do you think it was about, Dad? And she was probably 8, I think, 7 or 8.
Yes.
But you're right. That's such a powerful parent's moment.
It's beautiful. It's about friendship too, and how life is not to be taken for granted. I found this video of Mila. Actually, Henry sent it to me, my husband. I guess I was having my kids do fake book clubs right when I started the book club, just as an incentive to read.
Right.
And Mila was a tiny little first or second grader, 7 years old, and she was like, "Mom and I just finished, this book," and she's like, "I'd like to read the ending for you." And the ending of that book is he's passed. It's about friendship.
Right.
And it was so beautiful to watch my little child, who's now a preteen.
We're crying.
I know.
No one can
I
see
started
us,
crying when you said that.
No,
because
it's
beautiful.
True. It's a beautiful look. Jeremiah and I have been so fixated on the moment. We call them the moments in between. It's not the grand vacations. It's not the whole family's in Mexico. It's not any of that. It's those it's that 20 minutes before they go to bed. It's the mealtime times when you're truly focused.
Yes.
Watching my son do homework on a plane, watching, him listening to his little voice reading next to me. I can't even handle it. It's the sweetest thing in the entire world.
But you're right, because those are the moments that make up a life.
100%.
Yes, they'll remember the vacations, but that isn't the only thing.
No. No, and they do remember that, but they also like remember like the sandwich place that I found, or when I made them go to get pancakes in San Diego in their pajamas. Like that's what they love.
And like when you come home from work and the way you look at them.
So, well, you know what? That's so interesting because somebody asked me this week. I've been obviously all over the place talking about the book, but somebody asked me this week for like my best parenting advice, and I said, well, Jared and I don't really offer parenting advice. I think it's awful.
Yeah.
Every kid is different. Every family is different. It's not for us.
Yeah.
But I did overhear something once in my Oprah days. And I remember being in the control room and Dr. Angelou was on the show. And I was sitting there in the dark with all the producers and somebody asked her about being a mom. And she said, I'm afraid I really wasn't that great of a mom. But, you know, I was very focused on doing all these other things. But, you know, looking back, the one thing that I would say, and the audience member said, well, what advice would you give then? Thank you for your honesty. And she said, do your eyes light up when your child enters the room every time?
Yes.
And I have thought about that since we started a surrogacy journey 11 years ago. Because every time we walk through the door, every time my kids turn the corner, my phone's down and I'm like, hi.
Yes. Happy to see them. Hi. Because you are delighted by them.
Delighted.
Yeah.
Delighted.
But if we let it's like, and that's was such an important thing then, and even more important because distraction is like at an all-time high.
All-time high.
Let's go back to little tiny Nate. I would have loved to know you as a tiny little kid.
You would have been you and I would have been in jail. I can promise. You would have gone on to be on the Today Show. Principal's office. You and I, no, I can't even get through a wedding with you. You would have been you and I would have been in like juvie.
So you knew your mother is a designer.
Yeah.
Always loved design.
Always.
And you we talked about this on the show when you were on, but there was like in you this desire. Like you write about like rearranging furniture.
Yeah. I mean, Mom taught me some really valuable things. Like, obviously I was naturally inclined, like I had a natural interest. And I think that that's also a huge thing. Like when a kid is like, you know, a little boy in suburban Minneapolis at 10 is like, let's go to the antiques mall. And they're not like, no, you're playing t-ball.
Yeah.
But so I had that support, but Mom taught me how to shop and source. She loved old things. She loved things with character. I still do that. In fact, she has dementia now. And we went to an antiques mall the last time we were together a month ago. And she was showing me as if it was the first time we were there. And I said, but Mom, you know, you taught me to love this. You showed me. And I go, Mom, guess what I do now? Now I take a team of people with me and I go to Connecticut or wherever. And I pick whatever I want, and they bring it all to the front, and I don't even have to wait. A truck comes the next day to pick it up, and she goes, I would love that. And I go, anyone would love that.
Yeah.
It's like it's my favorite part of being an active interior designer. Like, but she taught me how to shop. She taught me how to source. She taught me visually because our house was like a lab for her. And she taught me the power of transformation. And I remember once I came home from high school and she was in the kitchen and the kitchen had been completely redone. And I said, and my mother doesn't cook.
Yeah.
And I said to her, Mom, this kitchen is like amazing. You did such a great job. I go, but why do you do it? You're never really in the kitchen. And she goes, I kind of feel like I'm in a commercial. I'm like, amazing. I'm like,
she's like, I just want the space.
She's like, I just wanted to be in here. But she was wildly talented and would do things as a kid, like when we were on family vacations. And I still carry this to this day. But I remember once we were in France as a family and we were at the flea market and everybody was buying like crystal chandeliers and figuring out how to get them home back in the day and whatever. And my mom bought this leather seat, like from a chair that had been taken off of a chair.
Yeah.
It was all hand-tooled leather, like probably like 18th century, not expensive.
Yeah.
It had the holes from where the tacks were around the perimeter.
Yes.
And she folded it and put it in her suitcase and then framed it and mounted it on linen. And every time I look at that in her dining room, it reminds me of the first time I ever went to the Paris flea market and thinking about how my mother would see things to like a potential that, you know, it was in a pile of like gross rugs, probably with cat
like
pee.
most people would never
Nobody would stop, break stride for that. And it's like a cherished thing, like in her home. That is a direct memory of that experience as kids.
And it speaks to our creativity too.
100%. All my brother wanted to do was ride those little motorbikes. And I was like, hold on one second. Does anyone care about this decorative box?
And nobody did?
Your mom did. My mom did.
You
I
did,
have
and
it.
your mom
I
did.
still have it. Yeah, totally.
Have you felt like, and your book is also, it's amazing for people that love design. I love design. You know that. So I flipped through this for like inspiration or like it's candy.
Right.
But for people that kind of don't understand who they, it's like, I think it's okay to be like, who am I?
It's like me trying to make a banana bread.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never happening.
Yes.
So I totally understand, and that's who the book was written for. I kept saying, as I worked with a woman called Heather Somerville, who is like good at math, and I'm not.
Yes.
And I was like, she would interview me for 2 years because I had so much information after 30 years of doing this.
Yeah, and you say you could not have written this book before now.
No way could I have written it yesterday or the day before. Wow. It all kind of came to fruition, and Heather helped me organize how the book should roll out because she worked at magazines for a long time and she was really smart. So I was very grateful to her and the process and my whole team really. But she and I were talking about it and I kept saying, if it doesn't answer where to start, it's not going in the book. And if it doesn't tell people how to do things for less money, then it's not going in the book. This book is not about me the last 30 years working for all these people and my own homes and all these things. This book is literally a thank you note to everyone who's ever dried their hair with a bath towel with my name on it. So I just wanted it to be very outward facing. I wanted it to be very straightforward and organized in a way that was fun to read. The first iteration was so not fun to read that I like screamed when I saw it. Truly, like it was all
like you were like, this is, and you're a reader, so you're like, I know it has to be interesting.
I was so upset because I was like, no, it needs to flip like a magazine.
Yes.
Somebody has to be like, I'm only redoing my powder room right now. Let me go to that page.
Yes.
You're not going to see what you want to do in the book, maybe. What you will see is how to start thinking about design in a different way.
Yes.
It's not about trends. It's not about what everyone else is doing. It's not about the makeovers on TV. It's not about any of that. It's literally like stop, slow down, really spend some time with yourself, kind of quiet the noise, and spend your money wisely.
And think about who you are. It's like, that's what I found to be really interesting is it's like, a guide, and it's really smart for a holiday gift or for the beginning of the year. It's like, who am I, like quietly?
Yep.
And what's my vision for what I want this to feel like, to be like?
And be honest about how you want to be perceived in your home.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yes.
Like,
who are we fooling
oh
at
my
this
God,
point?
we're fooling, nobody's fooling anyone.
Yeah.
That's the best part of everything right now with everyone knows everything about everybody.
Yes.
But the truth is that you're not fooling anybody by copying somebody else's feeling or look. You can be inspired by the way someone else lives, and I very much support that.
Oh, yeah.
I am all the time,
me
daily.
too.
I remember seeing your house, and I was like in line with you somewhere one day, and I was like, Jenna, was it Veranda? It was in Veranda, yeah.
I sold that cute cottage.
You
I loved
did?
that house.
That was the cutest house ever.
I know, but I'll show you pictures of my house now. You'll like it.
I'm sure I'll like it.
Yeah.
But, the point is that
it should feel like you, right?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the truth. The best interiors, literally the best interiors, the ones that all the designers refer to and have for the last 100 years, weren't designers. They were people that collaborated either with a designer or did it themselves and bucked everything that was happening at the moment and really did something so individualistic.
Yes.
My girlfriend, Barbara Berger, who lived in Mexico City, her house looked like a Venetian palazzo in this apartment in Mexico City.
Cool.
And she collected costume jewelry, and she had it in red toolboxes from Sears in Mexico around the perimeter of her formal dining room. And I remember walking into that and thinking, there's the Diego Rivera, or there's the this or whatever. Yeah. But it wasn't the point. The point was this explosion of Iris Apfel.
Yes.
Her interiors just sold at auction here in New York. And it's like, I look at these spaces, I look at, the Hotel de Grousset in outside of Paris. And this guy who decorated that was using color in a way that nobody was using color. Cotton slipcovers on furniture before, when everybody else had silk.
Yes.
And so what does that teach us? It teaches us to think differently, to slow down a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I can't help it. I mean, it's funny because it's like we share this. My mom loves design so much. And it was like kind of...
I love your mom, by the way. I think she's the most elegant person on earth. I really do.
She loves design. She always would move us into even our college, like...
Yeah.
Apartments, you know, she would still come move us in, and my friends would be like, here comes your mom, like hanging our tapestry, you know, like in the 90s.
Totally.
You know?
I had like Ralph Lauren sheets from TJ Maxx.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
And she was, and so when their house was on the cover of Architecture Digest, we were like, Laura Bush got her like Bible moment.
Totally.
You know, like
crowned.
This was what she wanted.
Yep.
And when you talk about
the seas parted.
Yeah, she did. That was her with a friend.
Yeah.
It wasn't like she didn't have the fancy designer. I mean, he's a wonderful designer.
Of course, but it was
her
a
friend,
collab.
Yes.
It was a collab, and she had something to say, and she was activated by the whole process.
And it feels like her,
yes.
even now. Like, and by the way, I think that was 25 years ago. We still go for Christmas.
It's still
that
perfect.
room. Like, I'll send pictures of this. She has needle, kind of like mustard and green needle pointed furniture that is so great. And I'll send it to friends that are designers, and they're like, "Can you steal that for your house?"
Seriously.
And my mom's like, "No, you cannot."
Yeah, totally. No,
it's so
that's so amazing though. And my grandmother growing up, we had dinner at her house every Sunday night, and her interior was blue and white.
Yeah.
And blue and white was so out.
Yes.
Remember the late 80s, 90s, whatever. It was like everybody had cream linen sofas and glass coffee tables. And my grandmother was like, nope. And, it's when I see an interior like that now and they're still around, to me, it like brings back memories of like really good brisket.
Yeah.
And like a bread basket.
Yes.
I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting too is I don't think you can know who you are in design without slowing down.
You can't.
So that's what this book does. It has these 4 tenets where it's like, wait, take some time.
Yep.
And create a vision.
Personal.
Yeah.
Create your vision. Embrace character, meaning use old things where you can.
Yes.
Incorporate things that have history on their own. Patination, imperfection. A room filled with new things looks terrible to me. I mean, it's just truly terrible to me. And I don't care if something's from 1970 on something from 1800.
Next to each other.
Yes, by all means. But like, it's so interesting to me because we're inundated with so much stuff.
Yeah.
Visually, everything has a price tag hanging off of it.
I know.
And we head out in the weekends and we're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. Or we buy this like furniture that really we don't care about because it's online, no payments till 2035 and whatever, and you get like a free pie. Yeah. And then you end up with this chaise and you're like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
I don't want this.
Yes.
I didn't measure. It has nothing to do with what I wanted. I put floor plans in there.
It's like
I put lists
slowing
of please
down,
don't.
Right?
It really is about that. It's the antithesis of everything we're inundated with on social media. I wanted to say, after 30 years of doing this, of installing, like those Instagram designers aren't real. They're editors.
Yeah.
They collate this like page that's like, and edit this page that's beautiful. And I respect that.
Yes.
That's not the same talent as understanding the 3,800 details that go into assembling a room.
Yes.
So this helps people figure it out. Yeah.
You started your career 30 years ago. That's crazy.
Same for me. Yeah.
It's crazy. So 30 years ago, and it was sort of like a rocket ship. I mean, it was. Like, it wasn't like most designers don't have your same trajectory.
No,
you were
that's
very
fair.
young and very successful pretty early on.
That's
right?
true. It's interesting because I love talking about this. So, I had my design firm based in Chicago for like 7 years before I was on the Oprah Show. And
Which 7 years is not nothing.
No, it's not nothing. And I was successful.
Yeah.
I had a house in Michigan.
Yeah.
I had an apartment on Michigan Avenue.
Yeah.
I thought I had a convertible. I thought I was like, yeah. And then I was invited to do the first segment on the Oprah Show. I was like 27 or 28.
How did that happen?
So Greg Lauren, Ralph Lauren's nephew, was a fashion designer, was also trained as a painter. And he had done 2 shows in LA and New York and wanted to do a show in Chicago. And a mutual friend connected us because my office space was like a gallery space in the art gallery district. And so I did a show for him, and I remember it was this funny night in Chicago. The photographer, Victor Skripneski, was next door. He came over and he closed his party, said, everyone fun is at your party. And I said, well, then let's have the same party.
Yeah, come over.
So we were all like hammered. It was like so much fun. And one of Oprah's producers happened to be there that night, and she was like trying to figure out why
everybody was together.
Elizabeth, Greg's wife, was there. Yes. Showgirls had just come out. It was this whole like thing, and she was like, what is going on? And then they asked me about 6 months later to do a small space makeover. And at the time, I was able to help them figure out how to produce it, because they were like, bring your painter to Boston. And I'm like, bring your plumber to Boston. I was like, they're not doing that. We have a good relationship, but like they're not walking off jobs.
Yes.
So we figured out a system that would take us wherever we wanted to go by partnering with like big retailers at the time.
Which now is sort of the way it's done.
It was totally the only way it was done. Every show does it now, but no one had done it, and there was no internet, and we were pulling things from the Ballard Design Catalog and flip phones. I mean, this was like the olden days.
Yes.
But I worked with the same group of producers from the first makeover to the last 12 years later. We laughed, we slept in our cars, we ate Frosties, like we had the best time. And I was always the last person to leave. And that felt really important to me.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't just for TV. You cared about how these projects were.
I cared so much, and I had so many opportunities in terms of the trajectory happen at that time. Obviously, licensing and publishing and endorsements and all these things. But the coolest thing about it for me was just being in that building and being around that team who were so resourceful. There was nothing that they couldn't solve, and no problem that couldn't have a solution to it. And I learned so much by being a part of it. And I knew that if I ever dialed it in, that sitting next to Oprah, she'd be able to tell.
Oh, totally.
Like in 1 second.
Because she's not dialing it in.
She never dialed it in. And also she wasn't, I thought it was all super exciting. Like, yay, I'm going to go sit on a toilet at the Home Improvement Convention in Vegas, and somebody's going to pay me a fortune. Like, can't wait. Yeah. But I was like, this is so cool. Like, I thought the opportunities were amazing, but watching her navigate her life and her reality and what was important to her was also an enormous lesson to me, because I realized very early on that none of that really did matter. Yeah. And that the connections did really matter, and the content really mattered years before anybody was talking about content.
Yes.
And so it just, I don't know, it was very formative. And then I was just really careful, Jenna.
Well, what's crazy though is that you were really careful, and now you're like, your firm is very successful. You're married to a very successful,
so successful and so handsome.
So
I know
handsome.
He is.
I mean, he is. And
he doesn't think he's handsome, which is so weird to me.
Jeremiah doesn't think he's handsome?
No, that's the secret to our marriage, Jenna. I think I'm way better looking than I am, and he thinks he's ugly. So we're really happy.
You are handsome.
No, but
Jeremiah is also
he looks like
very
a Roman
handsome.
coin.
He's so handsome.
He's ridiculous.
I mean, even Henry Hager's like, damn.
I know.
About both of you, if I'm honest.
That's very,
but anyway,
that's very nice. But
what's insane is even like, and I mean this in the best way, but like you could, and it's not just, it would have been a dream, but you could have been a television designer.
Totally.
And that could have been your lane. Yep. And you could have had a great time there, but somehow you've managed to build a really successful firm.
I didn't feel like, people ask me that, like, you sell sheets at Target or at Amazon or whatever, like, you write books, you have all this stuff, like, why are you still answering the phone when someone's sofa isn't ready? And the truth is that I love this so much. I'm not out of ideas. I feel constantly inspired, and I feel like everything else is ancillary to my design work.
Totally.
So without that credibility, without me being in the day-to-day with my team, with my offices, figuring projects out, then to me, I am an Instagram designer, and I don't want to be that.
Yeah. But I think it's so cool that you've been able to do both. Do you know what I mean?
And I appreciate that, because for years I fought for credibility in the traditional shelter publications. Yeah. I didn't make the Elle Decor A-list right away.
Well, you do now.
I am on it now,
and
girl.
The Architecture Digest and all the list.
You're on it now. I've been on it for a while. But
do you feel
I had to fight for it.
Was that because Do you feel like that was because you had this sort of strange trajectory, and there was
100%.
That people maybe
snobbery around TV designers versus like snobby designers that don't do TV, or not snobby designers who don't do TV. But I remember like what people in the high end design world thought it was super cheesy.
Yes,
and so I was always like, well, okay. And then they would then come to me, these designers that I admire. I'd be at their house and they'd be like, can you help us get a towel line?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, exactly, guys.
I know. But I feel like even with that, you knew who you were and the type of entrepreneur you wanted to be.
Totally.
And you didn't let sort of others' perceptions of anything hold you back from. And now here you are 30 years later, and it feels like you really are in this beautiful spot in life.
It feels like that to me. It's been really fun to go out and talk about foundations. It's been really fun to come home at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Oprah actually asked me last week. She said, we were doing this thing in Montecito, and she said to me, how have you changed since my show ended? And she asked me that at dinner a few months ago. And I answered in this like really dumb way. And it was like, which sometimes I do when I'm with her. I'm like,
well, it's just because you're like, I need to be profound.
I know. I'm like, let me hang on 1 second. I'm roomy. Meanwhile, she's like, just casual conversation. Like, you're going to finish your tequila. Right? Can I have your fry? And I like answered in some really stupid way. And then I said to her last week, I was like, can I redo my answer to you? And she was like, yeah. And I said, I'm happy now. And I was happy then. It's as easy as I can explain it. I've loved every single experience that I've had. I think it's fascinating. Some roles, talk show host, didn't really work for me.
That's okay.
I think so. I just don't care about like making chicken, Jenna.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
I know.
That purple
like anything
blob.
In your lane, it shows that like when you have a purpose.
Yes.
And you're clear on your purpose.
Totally.
And nobody's perception of you or your dream or whatever is going to make you change.
No, and
then it works.
And I want to hear what the focus groups had to say about making chicken and using real breadcrumbs or not breadcrumbs. And like, I was like, I don't care about any of this. Like, I just want to eat that. And then when it's not purple, and then I want to like do what I want to do.
You want to do design.
Yeah.
It's interesting because that happiness, I mean, you referenced this, but not probably many 10-year-olds were like you growing up where you were in the fact that you were so interested in different things. Like you even said, your brother was into sports and it was like the 90s, right? I mean,
80s for me.
Well, 80s and 90s. We're similar aged.
Yeah.
Like
No,
80s, 90s. You're not way older.
I'm way older than you.
You're like 5 years older than me. 6 years older than me.
Okay. I don't think so. But...
Okay. Anyway, what I'm going to say is it's amazing that you are fully yourself. What did it take to sort of get there?
A lot. I mean, a lot. I think first of all, I grew up with two parents who I really liked. Mm-hmm. And who I knew really liked me. Mm-hmm. So that was a great foundation. I think that knowing I was gay from a very early age and coming to terms with that and figuring that out, every gay kid has their own coming out story. Mine wasn't brutal, but it's always still like scary. You just don't know where that's going to land. Luckily, I was fortunate enough to have that land in a place that felt right for my father, who worked in sports, and my mother, who obviously... I had gay babysitters growing up, so she was like, whatever. And so that was formative. I think surviving the Indian Ocean tsunami obviously had a massive impact on me. Marrying Jeremiah, who is like the deepest, wisest. It's like so scary because he was like a boy when we met. I literally said to our friend Marjorie one day at dinner, the week that we met, we were at dinner with all these like weirdos in New York. And I said to her, am I too old to be with him? And she goes, what are you talking about? And I was like, do I look like one of those gross old gay guys at the Delta counter, like 2 first-class tickets to Mexico, please? And she was like, no, he's an old soul. Lock it down.
Yeah.
And so I locked it down, obviously. But, through being his husband and through our marriage, like it's brought so much safety and joy and comfort. And that bucket has always been checked for me since we've been together. Finding love for the second time, was major. I feel really grateful for that. And then being a dad, I want my kids to feel totally free to be whoever they are. That's my biggest wish for them, that they're kind, that they know how to hold a fork, and that they're, that they're good to people around them. So, I mean, like watching them watch us as parents, I feel like the most valuable lesson we can give them is to be completely ourselves and to be vulnerable and be open. It's like that Brene Brown thing, like vulnerability is the birthplace of human connection of everything we hold dear. I believe that. Yes. So, you know, it's been fun. You've had
a kind of amazing life in a way that is...
It's cool.
It's amazing.
It's cool.
This book, I mean, one of the things that I saw when I was reading is it's also about how you want your house to feel. As you were decorating a home for children, was that something that you thought about? Like, that was maybe different than when it was just your bachelor pad or just the two of you?
Well,
like,
Jared and I used to fight when we first got married because we immediately, like a year later, did this show on TLC together.
Yeah.
And finally one day, like in one of the first makeovers that we were working on together, he was like, you know, it's called the Nate and Jeremiah show, right? He's like, you don't decide everything. He's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, oh my God, you're right. I've just been deciding everything for 20 years. I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
I was like, forgot that maybe the rug should be on an angle. I never even thought about that, but okay, let's try it.
Yes.
So, I mean, that was a bit of a curve for me. The kid factor, listen, I've always felt like my priorities were right. It was like people, pets, and then stuff, even though I write about stuff and I care about stuff and I love stuff. Watching my kids move through these interiors, and we've moved so many times and they've picked things for their rooms so many times, watching what they connect to and what they don't connect to has been a real source of knowledge and like insight for me. When we just most recently moved, Oscar has had the same wallpaper. It's photographed in the book, but it's these mythological animals and whatever, and it's really expensive. And we did it first for him when he was born. And then he loves it. He calls them his animals and whatever, and he knows like what they are, what he thinks they are. And so when we moved the last time, I had saved one panel of the wallpaper, and I said, can I put it behind the bookshelves that flank your bed? And then you can pick whatever paint color you want for the rest of the room. Yeah. And he looked at me and he goes, nice try, Dad. I want my animals everywhere. And so we had to order the paper again. I thought I was like saving all this money.
Yeah, you were like, I'm a genius.
Exactly. I was like, and thwarted
but
by
also,
a 6-year-old.
Imagine if he was like, and I'm trying to think of what would have really get on your design jangly. Like, imagine if he imagine if he was like,
I want a
49ers
bedspread.
Yeah, exactly. Or I want everything from, this.
That'd be hard for me.
How do you allow, like, because even I've designed both of my all of my children's room, the way I want it to be.
Right.
But I tried to take into consideration what they want. But like last night, my 13-year-old is like, I have screenshots of wallpaper because I'm a psychopath.
Right.
And she was like, we need to redesign my room. I'm like, girl.
That's not how it works.
Yeah. But how do you, and for parents, how do you take in consideration of who they are, what they may want?
Well, I think you have to, first of all, I've always involved kids in design. Even when I'm working with people who their designer has never once had a conversation with their children, I'll take the kids to lunch or I'll go over to the house or whatever, and I'll get them interested in certain things that are going into their room, like, hey, this chest of drawers is where you're going to put your pajamas. But I want to tell you a little bit about it. Can you tell me anything that was happening in 1880?
Yeah.
And they're like, and it sounds like we're doing priceless antiques. These things you can find for $700.
Yes.
Sometimes they're less than a reproduction. But I'll say, like, if you don't know anything about Sweden in 1880, then let's talk about what is different in the world from 1880 till now.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, were there TVs? I'm like, no. Airplanes? Nope. So we'll go through stuff. No. And so then when that piece is delivered, they feel like they have a connection, that they have a story around it that lands in some way.
Yes.
I do ask favorite colors. I don't believe that we should,
do a pink room for a kid that hates pink.
And I don't think that we should listen to make a room purple just because their 5-year-old loves purple right now. It's going to change in an hour.
I know.
So, but purple bedding, sure. A purple bath mat, why not?
Yes.
A funny purple pillow from Home Goods on the bed, go for it.
Yes.
I like rooms that evolve with kids. Mm-hmm. And I think it's our job to help that evolution along. So I do like putting vintage stuff in there. I do like taking them to an art fair, a student art fair at a school or something, and being like, is there anything here that you love? Why do you love it?
Yeah.
Poppy has a collection of paintings and things that were given to her when she was born and things that we've kind of collected along the way. I remember once we were in the West Village and she saw this mirror in a window, this tiny ceramic mirror, and it wasn't inexpensive, but she'll have it probably for 40 years. Yeah. So I was like,
and as opposed to buying a bunch of like plastic.
No, she can do that at Sephora.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The worst?
Oh my God, it's the worst. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's all about like
I know.
The new line.
The good news is it bounces back because now my older daughter's like, don't be a Sephora kid, Poppy.
Oh, genius.
Yeah. She's like, come on.
Oh, so now there's a cycle.
There's a slight... now there's a slight sort of like, not that Mila doesn't love a product, she does, but she's like, you should be into like the things I was into, which is like reading and drama and music. Don't just be a Sephora kid.
Is Mila rentable or no?
Yeah, she can come back. And by the way, she's kind of cool and in a way where
I'm sure
it could work.
Is.
It could work with Poppy cool would too. Be like, oh, she is for
Poppy's
sure.
Like,
but Poppy would see Mila, she's in 7th grade and she'd be like, don't be a Sephora kid. And all of a sudden... there goes being a Sephora kid. Okay, so give us tips. We're going to talk books too, but give us tips for somebody that's hoping to start a new project.
So I would say, and I spell this out in Foundations, obviously, but I would say the best tip is to, before you begin, prepare yourself for all the questions and decisions that you're going to have to make. And the questions that you're going to have to answer.
Yeah.
And so get together like as much imagery, as many samples, like physical samples. Take photographs when you're out on the weekend or you're at someone else's house or whatever it is. Start asking people, like, who built your bookshelves? Who did your planters outside? Where'd you get your outdoor furniture?
Yes.
Just keep all that information. I keep files in my like Instagram images and whatever based on like staircases.
Yeah.
Fireplace mantles. So when I need a reference, I'll go back and look at something else. But take a look at all that imagery. One of the things that I do talk about in the book is that designers look at photographs differently than normal people. I look at a photograph and I can hate the floor plan. I can hate the color scheme. I can hate the fabrics, but there's something about the furniture arrangement that I think is fascinating.
Yes.
Or I can love the color palette and hate everything else in the room. So I'll keep that image and mark colors only.
God, that's so interesting.
It's like it's literally like when you're a kid and you have a great art teacher and they teach you to look at something differently in a museum. Mm-hmm. It's the same way I am with interior photography, and everyone on my team is. So I talk about that. In fact, I put these historic interiors in the book and I say what I see. And then I ask the reader to ask what you see. So, you're never going to find the ideal room scrolling. Never. And you shouldn't. But you can take certain things away.
But also, scrolling is inherently fast.
It is.
And I think the whole point, what I got out of this is you have to slow down.
Yeah.
To know yourself, you have to slow down to figure out what your vision is.
100%, because there's just a new idea every second.
Yeah.
So you've got to be kind of steadfast, and you have to really know, look, we're investing in our homes. Wanting to live beautifully is a universal, absolutely a universal desire. What I like the most is when I can tell that somebody has kind of shut out the noise from imagery, from TV, from magazines, whatever it is. And they're like, you know what? I really love South America. I'm South American. Here's what I really want to figure out.
How to
how can I incorporate craft?
Yeah.
I'm from Peru. Maybe I don't like multicolored hand-woven rugs, but is there pottery that could be on my fireplace mantle that's Peruvian? Like we have access to everything now.
Yes.
There's a sophisticated way to interpret anything in your home. And that's what I talk about because I think it's really important.
I would say like 70% of the art in my house is by a Texas artist.
See?
Which was not intentional.
But
it was because I love Texas. Yep. And it's not like, we're not talking, although I may have one, like a cactus.
Right.
We're talking like
Remington
bronze.
Totally.
Like a Frank Talbert, who is a great Texas artist, like a dinner scene in black and white. You would never know it was a Texas artist.
No,
but it spoke to me. You know what I mean?
Well, it's so interesting because like I look at what we consider to be what we're drawn to, and I think our identity in terms of art is always evolving, and it should, because obviously art is always evolving.
Yes.
It's really interesting to me because Jeremiah and I have this farm. Our family has a farm in Portugal, and we just installed it 2 weeks ago. And all of our paintings were like very abstract, extremely modern, from the 70s and the 50s and the 60s and whatever, and things I've found for like really great deals on auctions and sent there. But it was interesting because I kept saying to him, "Is everything like so one note? Like that's what we're drawn to?"
Yeah.
And it is, and I understand why, because the juxtaposition of a contemporary painting next to a crusty old gilded chair is interesting to me.
Yes.
But like we've got to be better. And like looking at that interior, I was like, we got to do better. Don't we need like some old oil painting with a dog with a bunny in its mouth or something? We got to figure this out. I was like, or some Jesus scene.
Yes,
like, come on,
like
we got
something
this.
else.
Come on, can we get a Virgin Mary in here? Like we gotta shop.
Something tells me you can do that.
I think so.
Let's talk books, because you have a book club. You love to read.
Yep.
What's one of your favorite books of all time?
I think the best book I've ever read is A Little Life.
Oh my God, I knew you were going to say that.
You did?
Yeah, because I also say that.
You do?
Yes.
It's
so weird. I knew you were going to say that.
That's so weird. I just think it was one of the best books I've ever read.
I totally agree.
I just loved it so much, and I remember reading it and thinking that I knew what I was going to be reading, and thinking that I had the pace and the cadence down and her Hanya's writing style and all this stuff, and then remember being so shocked in the middle of it. And
that Hanya is a genius.
Oh my God, that is
and also
a brilliant book.
The emotions of it, I still feel it now.
Me too.
And we read it. It came out 10 years ago.
Jeremiah made me get this little book light because like I had like the night table light on, and he was like, "Our marriage isn't going to work."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay." So now I hear actually the Velcro of his mask every
same
night,
with Henry.
which is that so
the
fun?
drowsy.
Yeah. So I'm like sitting there next to him, and I have my little book light, and I'm not like a night owl. I love my sleep.
Me too.
That book.
Yeah.
I was up like I think there were 2 nights where I stayed up till like 2:15 because I just couldn't set it down, and it was so annoying to me that it was like, and then I was like miserable and felt and grieved when it ended. Me too.
And I feel like what she does is make it so immediate, where it's like I felt like I was part of that friend group.
100%.
I was part of that friend group.
I mourned that the book ended because I absolutely felt like I was in their lives.
Oh God, me too.
It was so good.
Agreed. And it's so weird. I knew you were going to say that. I feel like I have some sort of like ESP or something. I'm a witch.
Yeah.
I love witches.
A
Texas witch. Okay. What was the first book that you were like, oh, reading can help create empathy? And I have to just tell you, that a lot of men don't read fiction.
I know. And I don't read nonfiction.
There's a whole study about how if men read, and Amor Tolls, who I know you know too, probably did this whole thing with us at National Endowment of the Arts, did a study about how if men read more fiction, there would be more empathy in the world.
Wow.
Because when you read nonfiction, you're just given the facts.
Right. You don't have to think of anything from anyone else's perspective. That's so interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm just like, good for you. Your house is filled with empathy. Yeah. I'm not surprised.
No, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I'm like, why are they so poor? Just give them the bar. Oscar feels the same.
Was there a book like I remember The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison?
That's
was like
amazing.
I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
I nothing. Percola Bread Love. Like there's nothing. I don't know anything about her life.
Diary of Anne Frank.
That was it.
Yeah. Because I remember they gave it to us in Hebrew school.
Wow.
And
in like 7th or 8th grade?
Around there, maybe 6th.
Yeah.
I was always a really advanced reader.
Yes.
In kindergarten, I went to the 3rd grade room.
Wow.
So like but my mother read garbage.
Yeah.
So I would read her like Jackie Collins, and I was like so into it.
Yeah, totally.
And my father would give me like Clive Cussler mysteries or like weird Navy spy books, and I was like also into that. Yeah. And it was such a weird thing that I read like this like indiscriminate. My dad read fiction actually, and he was quite empathetic, which is so interesting.
Yeah, my dad reads fiction too.
Well, that makes sense. But I remember that book, and that was the first time that it took me out of my reality into someone else's in that way that was so powerful. And that since that day, that's become a genre that I really do read about. I love reading about migrant stories.
Yes.
I love reading about the Holocaust and World War II and survival stories. I love reading about other cultures and other lands and the reality of, what was that book? There was like, there was a bird in the title and it was about Afghanistan, the kite.
Oh, The Kite Runner?
The Kite Runner.
Yeah.
Like that, like those are the books to me that it's like my whole world shuts off entirely and I am completely immersed in someone else's challenge and reality and journey. And that is what I think I've always found the most beautiful thing about fiction.
Okay, I'm going to end sort of where we started. We started talking about Charlotte's Web, and you said that Poppy said to you, your daughter said to you, Daddy, who have you known that passed away? Did you talk to her about?
Yeah, we've been really open with both of our kids about my experience of losing Fernando Bengoechea in the Indian Ocean tsunami. Our kids know that Oscar's named after him.
Yes.
There's photos in our home and artwork that he created in our kids' rooms still. But Jeremiah's just better at it than I am, to be honest with you. He's like figured all this stuff out. When Poppy has a question, he's got the answer. I'm not that dad. I'm like, hey, let's go ride those weird things around in New Jersey at that mall, and then like maybe eat something fried with sugar.
But you were honest with her.
100%. I mean, listen, my kids are really smart. I think most kids are really smart.
Yeah.
And my father randomly always told me the truth. I mean, I give these examples to Jeremiah all the time, and he's like, that is not good parenting. I'm like, well,
but it kind of,
listen, it worked for me. Yeah. Like, I don't know. He was just like very succinct and very clear and very clean and just faced things very much head on. And we try and do that with our kids too.
It probably made you feel brave.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, no, he trusts me enough to know that I can handle this.
100%, and seen and heard. And brave is I've never thought about it like that, but actually it did. It did. And I really remember feeling like so sophisticated that he trusted me with that information at 11 or at 12. And he would speak against adults and what he saw was wrong with what they were doing, which, was breaking some sort of parent code.
Yeah.
But it worked for me, man.
Yeah. It sure did. Well, this book is beautiful.
Thank you.
I love you. I need more.
I need
more Nate in my life.
I'm still grieving the fact that you moved out of the city. I think it was so rude.
I want to. First
of
all,
I care about your beautiful suburban life.
I want to show you pictures.
I don't want to see them. I don't care about your house.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.